Classic exiting the apartment ASMR. I've only got today and tomorrow, and then I'm off to the airport. Out the door, and now here's a new adventure. I gotta figure out where to dispose of bottles, because one of the things with keeping this apartment, making this apartment more of the hotel experience that Airbnb does more these days, is they did give me a 2-liter bottle of water in the fridge, which was kind of nice. I didn't hate it. Here we go. Dispose of you. But yeah, I finally drank it all, and it's enormous. So I can't just toss it in one of the other bottle disposal things. So I gotta actually use proper garbage in Japan for once. But there we go. Bottle returned, deed done. Now the other standard thing of I had curry noodles yesterday. So fucking good with a hard-boiled egg in them. And just all my other miscellaneous garbage in the curry cup. Gotta go toss this by the JR station. Today I'm planning to do the whole loop. I'm gonna take the JR station to Hakata, then take the Hakata subway to Umebayashi. Gonna do my last ascent of Mount Aboriyama. And then I was like, oh man, do I finally, right at the end, do I finally have to learn how the heck I get onto this train at Hakata? I mean, I guess I'll just pay attention also when I get to Hakata where I fucking exit from. Surely I can just work that in reverse? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I don't think I'm going to need to, because then I realized I could just take the train down to Tenjin. At Tenjin I can get on the Nishitetsu line, which is the sweet one that I totally dig, that has the cool machine with the iced matcha and shit. And then I can take that back here because I am perfectly in the middle of the Nishitetsu line and the JR line. Man, I'm gonna miss this location. It's so rad. Oh, and the street fair, still going. Classic. All right, let's time travel forward after my subway travels. Man, Hakata Station is not my jam. I mean, I guess I was at Shibuya Station for like a hot fucking second on my way into Tokyo the first day, and then that's it. I haven't been back to Shibuya Station. I haven't been to Shinjuku Station. I don't remember Ikebukuro being as bad, but I guess I haven't really used that one either, but I kind of know that station, and I guess that's what it comes down to. If you know the stations, then it's no problem. But man, just the second I fucking get here, yikes, dude. So there were some people who stayed on my JR train, so it does pass through the station, it seems. It does not just turn around and go back. So that would be worth an experiment, just to see where it goes, to see which way it goes, if I were here longer. You know, next time I'm here. But yeah, geez, today I got off and it's just like endlessly following arrows for eternity. I figured because I wasn't transferring to another train, I'm just going to the subway. Like, this will be easy. It's a very simple subway system. How hard could this be? And then it's like, go here, now 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 go here. And now I'm in a line behind a zillion people. I think I'm almost to the, there's only 2 lines. There's the airport line and the Nanakuma line. Yeah, and I think I'm still heading toward Nanakuma, I guess. Jesus, now what the fuck is going on, dude? It's so annoying. Now these are exits? Come on, what's happening? Yeah, this station is a fucking pain in the dick. These mega stations. Again, like this one's probably not as bad as the Tokyo ones. But I'm just staring at symbols, and it's like this one, like none of these arrows say subway. Come the fuck on, dude. What is going on here? Okay, I think I gotta go down this way. Fuck me, anyway. Yeah, I don't like big stations in Japan. This shit fucking sucks. Whew, I made it to Umabayashi Station, walking away from the station. Go say my goodbyes to my old Airbnb. It's an insanely beautiful day. It's December 10th now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm curious to see what it's like when I get back into Tokyo, because here it is still somewhere around 20 degrees. It's so fucking warm. You know, I follow a lot of Japanese photographers on Instagram because, you know, in Japan, just any fucking random thing you take a picture of looks amazing. And there's a lot of pictures of snow, and not just up north, but like Tokyo snow. And I'm like, really? I do think I heard somewhere that this year is unusually warm. They were having problems up north with bears attacking people more than usual because something went wrong with crops and things just because there was too much fucking heat. So maybe this isn't natural, because this is insane. It's just summertime right now. It's fucking out of control. And the Japan in the winter pictures are really beautiful, and I love snow. Definitely at some point in my future, heading up to northern Japan is in the cards. But down here in Fukuoka, fucking forget that shit. It's so warm. Although the mountains are finally starting to turn to fall colors, because the mountains here are just covered in trees. So, I mean, it's still like maybe 20% of the trees are turning orange and red. Maybe a little more than that. We'll say 30%. But yeah, it's like, hey, here's already the best thing you ever saw. Here's an A+ visual. We can do better. We can make it a little more beautiful. Why the fuck not? But yeah, that was quite the to-do. I'm gonna say I was shocked how hard that was to navigate that stuff. Because, you know, I didn't look into it too closely. It's like, I'll just fling myself into it, you know, that's fine. But when I kind of get turned around and lost and don't quite know where I am out in the world, that's a lot more fun. Because, you know, you're out in the world. Actually, it's funny I say that because I just realized, like, did I miss a turn? Am I not going toward my Airbnb? But yeah, like I'm walking around outside. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's not quite 1 o'clock yet, so I got more than enough time because I'm just going to do my nice little ascent up the mountain. And then I might go back down the other side to the Aburayama Cannon Temple. Or I might just go to the main observation deck and get a hot dog. We'll see. But either way, I got enough time. So it's, you know, it's all right to wander around a little, get a little lost. But when you're wandering around getting a little lost in the major stations, I don't think that's fun. I was getting the pedestrian equivalent of road rage. I was grinding my teeth a little. Because I'm pretty sure they extended this Nanakuma line I'm on so that it does go all the way to Hakata. But if so, I didn't get on the right line for that to work. So I had to transfer at Tenjin. And I guess I've never done that before. So I was just in my mind thinking of a Toronto transfer or a Vancouver transfer. Because the subway line's not that big here. It's about the same as Toronto or Vancouver, probably a little smaller. So I just expected, just a passageway, you know. The connection will just be connected. A hop, skip, and a jump. But even though the subways are comparable in those cities, there is a lot more going on around here. A fuck ton more. So yeah, the transfer at Tenjin between the two subway lines, a word to the wary, it's a Lord of the Rings level adventure. It fucking sucks. And yeah, just really pay attention, I guess, to the signs. Because I was just kind of like, okay, there's an arrow, there's an arrow, there's an arrow. And I think it's just that the little subway graphic actually looks quite a bit like the train graphic. I think I was following the wrong arrow. I had to have been. Because after you follow like 8 arrows and you are not even remotely going anywhere near where you want to go, that's when I started like getting secretly pissed, to myself. Just like, what the fuck, man? This is fucking tiresome as fuck. Where the fuck do I go? Please be more clear. Because then even when I did get to the point where it's like, okay, let's really pay attention. But there's still just kind of a vague sense of like, hey, subway, passageway to the subway, this area. So that sucks. That fully sucks. I actually think that thing I was doing the other day, it's like a weird, silly thing to do, but I legitimately think it's the best tactic, is to just say, forget those big subway stations. Don't deal with Hakata or Tenjin. Just walk to the next station. Because the next station is going to be a little tiny station with one route in and one route out. It only goes this way or that way. And you just can't go wrong. It's so easy compared to a station that has 18 possible fucking ways to exit. All piled on top of each other, intertwined with, they're both kind of like malls. They're just big stores. And it's too much, dude. All right, so I'm next to my classic Airbnb from 2019 with my perfect view of the mountain that I see in my dreams. And I'm going to upgrade. Amount of trees that are changing color. Nah, it's not 40%, 35%. There's like patches that are still fully green. But then there's other parts that are mostly orange. I don't know how much I'll be able to tell once I'm on the mountain. It probably won't seem too different from there. Well, I'm glad I came out here. Say goodbye to the siren. I'm sure we'll have another siren once we get up on the mountain. There's always a siren. The greenhouse. Gonna go head to the 7-Eleven to stock up. Ah, the beauty. Fucking love this fucking mountain. But yeah, beyond that silly technique of just walking to the next station, which I do legitimately think, because like it does take longer, but I mean, it took easily half as much time just to walk through the tangle of the station. I could not believe how long it took. I got back into that underground part of Tenjin that just goes on forever, the underground mall. Yeah, I'm just walking and walking and walking. It's like, man, if I had just bailed out and walked to the next station, I'd be halfway there by now, and I'd be outside having a nice walk, instead of underground, packed in with people, slowly unraveling. So yeah, I legitimately think, just get out, walk to the next station. Not bad. All right, just took a little stop at the 7-Eleven, stood outside. My favorite thing, stand outside a 7-Eleven, watch the fucking world go by, say my goodbyes to the fucking greenhouse. But that's one thing that's nice too, is now that COVID's over, it's not goodbye, it's a see you later. Is there a better way to say that that's not as corny? Sure there is. But yeah, now it's like, yeah, see you later, fucking greenhouse, but I'll see you again, dude. Life's not a place, it's a process. It's a Bean World quote that is not entirely applicable. I'll just continue to move around, to travel. I'll be back here. Might take a little while, might not take a little while. I don't fucking know. Man, I think I'm tired today. My brain is like not firing. Probably once I start going uphill it will though. I'm at the nightmare steps now, so. Whew, yeah, I'm really surprised how hot it is today. This is fucking weird. Although I guess when I used to go up this mountain in 2019, I am not a take your shirt off kind of guy unless it's extreme circumstances. But many times on this mountain I had to take my shirt off just because I was gonna die. Luckily there's not a ton of people on this mountain. I very rarely met anyone else while I was walking around with my fucking xylophone skeleton bones out. So this ain't that bad, but I'd say this is among one of the hottest days I've been here. It hasn't gotten much hotter than this. Very unexpected. Yeah, and in fact, why did I even turn this recorder on? Look at those fucking stairs. That shit's insane. If I have anything to yammer about, I can surely do it once the mountain is leveled out a little. Maybe even on the way down. I don't need to try to talk while I'm going up a hill. Nothing I have to say is that important. None of it's important at all, in fact, so it can certainly wait. So yeah, let's save this fucking oxygen for the act of mountaineering. By which I just mean walking up a semi-steep path, you know. It's not like I got grapple hooks. I suppose mountain climbers don't use grapple hooks, right? Oh, maybe they do. I don't know. Who knows and who cares? All right, there we go. I got something to talk about now. So I went up the nightmare stairs and I just stopped at the little deck at the top where you can kind of, since the leaves have fallen off the trees, you can actually see from up there. It's a pretty nice view. So I was just standing there and I'm like, yeah, you know, I should pull out my phone and do a little writing. That's a habit I meant to build up while I was here that I have not. It's like, just pull out the phone once in a while, do a little writing throughout the day, it'll add up. And I had a story idea that I came up with when I went to that little peninsula up in the north. Gave me a story idea. So basically I jotted a bunch of notes down about it. And I wasn't even doing actual writing, I'm just trying to split those notes now into separate files. But it's the worst thing about writing on a phone. Writing on a touchscreen is not so terrible now that I have a better phone, an actual like Google Pixel. It really does make a difference. A cheap touchscreen, trying to write with that is a nightmare. Don't even bother. But cutting and pasting blocks of text, goddamn, it's the fucking worst. So a bit embarrassingly, because I do think I'm more tired than I thought I was. I did stay up kind of late, and I'm not good at sleeping in Japan. I think just because, you know, I open my eyes for whatever reason, and I realize it's sunny and beautiful outside, and it won't be for long, and I'm just like, well, shit, I better just get up, you know? And then 2 hours later, I'm like, God, I'm a cranky bitch today. So I was yelling at my phone. I'm like, God fucking damn it, come on. And not long after that, a foreigner appeared. And I'm like, oh. It's like, let me get out ahead of this right away. I just said, oh, hey, I don't know if you heard somebody yelling at their phone. That was me, sorry. Because I don't know if you heard me or not, but it's just, you know, let's just diffuse that right away. Because it's confusing and embarrassing to, if you heard somebody swearing at no one, at nothing, for no reason, in the middle of nowhere. So this guy, a bit younger than me, probably in his, a bit younger, yeah, mid to late 20s, quite a bit younger, had a little ball cap that said hiking. And I was just like, hey buddy, cool, hey, where are you from? What's your deal? So he was Tom from Germany, and he's here for work, and he actually just came down from this path. So I said, oh, okay, I'm going up the path, you're heading down. And he's like, yeah, there's a drink machine up there. And I was like, I know, and a hot dog guy, right? And he's like, yeah. So somebody else experienced the joy of the hot dogs. And he said he was on like this huge hike once that was, how many hours did he say? Quite a number anyway, like a whole afternoon of hiking. I can't remember where he said this was, some city I'd never heard of. Where midway through there were drinks, but there wasn't electricity. It wasn't a proper drink machine. It was one of those pay on the honor system things that I've seen around for just local produce, for vegetables and stuff. But it was drinks, and you just leave money on the honor system in the little coin box and take a drink. It's like, that's fucking amazing, that's awesome. But he's here for work. He's here in Fukuoka being trained, and then he's being sent up north. And apparently, despite this weather, there is actually snow up north right now, he said. So, and he's a little disappointed that just the way it's going to time out, he's not going to get up there for the winter because he really likes snow. And obviously here in Fukuoka, it's fucking insane. It's so warm. So me and him are kind of peas in the pod. We like hiking around, we like snow. I guess the difference is he's a responsible adult who has a career path. But yeah, apparently this is a good time to get in with a company in Japan. They're looking for people. Of course, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be not exactly up to date. But I assume economies of countries don't turn around on a dime. Anyway, no one's here for fucking career advice, so whatever. I'm sure you've done your own research if you're interested in working for a company in Japan. But yeah, he was saying that the company he works for is like, I think America-based, but in partnership with Taiwan. Anyway, a lot of Taiwanese and American people. So the upside is there's not a lot of like the Japanese politicking that happens at a Japanese company where, unspoken rules or things about seniority that you're just supposed to understand or whatever, just the different things that they do that are not necessarily intuitive to a Western mindset. And again, I don't know either. I've never worked at these places, but the stuff you hear about of just like, maybe not being able to speak as directly about your thoughts about things and having to run things up the chain in a specific way and having the group decide on stuff. He said it's not a lot of that. But as they are in Japan, they do have the crazy work hours. 12-hour work days. Not at all uncommon. And he said he's also learning Japanese and it is tough. Like he can ask for directions, he can order food, and that's about it at this point. But he's working on it because we both also commiserated about like, he's a good example. The guy's from Germany, but his English was excellent. And that's just kind of what I presume. It's very entitled of me, but that's how it's what I always expect. Not that I've traveled to so many places, but especially if you like work at a coffee shop or something, a lot of different people come through. I just always presume everybody speaks English because everybody does, Even I met this lady at the Nanzoin temple who is like Spanish of some kind. And she was asking me if I knew directions to something, but I was like, I'm afraid I do not. And she prefaced it by saying she couldn't speak English, but she totally could. Then we just talked in English, she's just like not confident in her English, but she could speak English for sure. To enough of a degree that we could talk, at least enough for me to say, I can't help you. I don't know what's going on around here, sorry. But in Japan, it's not like that. It can be a literal stonewall of just like, nope, this person is not fucking with you. They cannot speak English. They do not know what you're fucking saying. Any random English that they did happen to learn in school or something is some weird, version of English where, like they might know that a sando is a sandwich, but they don't know the word sandwich. They don't know that sando is an abbreviation of sandwich. You can't say sandwich. Sandwich is going to get you nowhere. You got to know to say sando. That type of thing. It's such a distant cousin to English that it's not English anymore, It's not, you can't talk to them. Again, as I always say, it's not a criticism. It's my job to learn their language, and it's my fault that I haven't. But I'm just saying it is a thing. So that's where Tom from Germany was like, yeah, this is a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be, but I got to learn this language. Even if people at my work speak English, I really can't live in Japan without this. So that's the update from random Tom from Germany. That'd be the kind of thing that I don't know how I could do it, but when I do meet these people, I don't know, I guess when I was younger, I was a little more obnoxious about podcasts and stuff like this. Maybe I would have pulled out the microphone and crammed it in his face and been like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? And most people probably would. I could have got some sound clips from Satoru from fucking Chiba, and Clément from France, and Tom from Germany. I could go out of my way to find people to talk to. But yeah, now that I'm a little older, I prefer not to put people on the spot like that. It's just such a weird thing to do. And it's not like I really did that when I was younger. When I was younger, I guess, like when I lived in New York and stuff, I did in fact cram the microphone in people's faces a lot. But everybody I knew there knew I was into podcasting and stuff. It wasn't just like a stranger on the street. But yeah, that's what would make this, it would make this podcast a lot more premium if I could somehow actually have the conversation with these people. But I'm afraid my secondhand recounting is the best we're going to get. Because I want this to be a non-obtrusive fucking project. But yeah, and I told him like, oh yeah, I've never been to Germany. I've only been to the Netherlands. And he said what I secretly suspected, but I would never, it would be arrogant of me to say this without having been to Germany. But I'm like, this seems an awful lot like everything I've heard about Germany and like German YouTubers and stuff. It seems like an awful lot of that lines up with the Netherlands. And I mean, Deutschland means land of the Dutch, doesn't it? It's obviously connected. But, I wouldn't say that myself. I don't know. I've never been to Germany. But when a German guy says it, he's like, it's basically the same. I was like, oh, all right. All right. Fair enough, Tom from Germany. You said it, not me. But yeah, that was kind of nice because, I mean, I do run across, in Tokyo, there's foreigners fucking everywhere, but out here, I run across the occasional foreign guy. And especially when it's in a weird spot, like when I went to, just the other day, the random park with the lake in the middle, where I went to the Hard Off and got some headphones, just, have a nice easy day. On the way back from there was a foreign guy just standing in a parking lot, checking his phone. And I so want to just go like, hey dude, give me the Tom from Germany pitch. Who are you? Where are you from? What brings you here? Let's talk for a minute. But most of the time, other foreigners I find just kind of ignore you in Japan, because I think it's like we all kind of know what's going on here. We know there's a certain type of Westerner that sort of just has a weird love for Japan and loves being in Japan and wants to come to Japan. And it's like our, deep down, regardless of where we fall on the spectrum of sociability and social success, yada yada, probably if you're a white guy who showed up in Japan, you're above average intelligence and below average every fucking thing else. You're probably a little bit unhandsome, a little bit unsuave with the ladies, a little bit lacking in everything, a little too knowledgeable about manga, a little bit too into video games. I think we kind of all know roughly that about each other. So I think maybe other foreigners, when they pass each other in Japan, just kind of want to be like, oh, let's just not broach any of that. Let's all just pretend this is just normal as hell, that I'm here and you're here. And hey, that's fine. Why would I even notice you? You're just some guy in Japan. But it's like, hey, I know you. I know why you're here. I know to some degree what's going on here. Yeah, I think it's probably pretty uncommon for somebody to just fucking nail life in their home country. I did it. I fucking rocked everything there is to rock in this society. I'm the top of the heap. Now I will go conquer Japan. I don't think that's what tends to happen. I think it's I'm kind of lagging behind here. I'm falling behind in this particular societal race a little bit. But if I go to Japan, I mean, it's just cool anyway. It's just fucking sweet, But also, now I got a little leg up. I'm the guy who can walk up the steps 2 at a time. I'm the guy who holds onto the bar way at the top of the subway, not the handhold. I'm the guy who hits my head on everything all the time. I'm a little bit special in Japan. I think that's probably safe to say. And if there's one thing I've learned in my what little travels I've had in life, it's that every stereotype is true. They're all true. And they didn't come out of nowhere. They're not just unfair. You can't just broadly paint a situation with one stroke of color, of course. Wait, how could I put that? It's the same as, any generalization. Of course, it doesn't apply to everyone. But the idea that it doesn't apply to anyone is just willful ignorance. It totally applies to many people. Whenever I see these other people walking down the street, they're just another version of me. You know, you can twist the knobs a little bit. Maybe they're here for a shorter visit, maybe they're here much more permanently. But deep down, we probably all funneled through similar fucking life experiences to get us here. That's one thing that's a little nice about that I came here later in life. That I'm here at the point in life when what I really like is hiking up mountains. That's kind of handy, because if I came here when I was 24, I would have bought like just one of those like passes at the game center so you can save your progress. And I'd go into one of those mech games where you sit down in the mech. And like, my life would just be city shit, video game shit. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's nice that in my old age, I still get that glaze, that sousson of Japan. That's all here, all that stuff is here, and it's very cool. But fundamentally, what I'm looking to do is just walk around in a park or on a mountain or in nature. And geez, even just that little talk with Tom from Germany with his... Did I mention that he's wearing a ball cap that said hiking? This guy fucking loves hiking. But yeah, if hiking is what I want to do with myself, there's no fucking end to that. All over the place. He was telling me about cities I never fucking heard of before. And to be fair, there was no evidence. Despite what I just ranted about, Tom from Germany showed no evidence of caring about anime or manga at all. Or video games or any of that. Maybe he did, but maybe he didn't. You know? Like Chris Broad, who's kind of the most famous Westerner who does videos chronicling Japan on YouTube. He's not especially into any of that shit. He just likes Japanese films, cinema. So yeah, it's not all just fucking nerd shit. Maybe too, I mean, maybe it's not a coincidence that, it's pretty different where I met Clément from fucking France carrying a big plush Pokemon under his arm. And I met Tom from Germany on a mountain. You know, different venues. Let's just put it that way. Maybe Tom is just here for work and his only connection to Japan is hiking. It could be. But to be honest, I mean, if I was going to put money on it, I wouldn't put a lot. But anyway, that was pretty cool. Definitely kind of perked me up too. I mean, between just the miserable start of the day, getting lost in not one but two subway stations. Ugh. And then I clearly wasn't shaking it very well because I was yelling at my phone. Nothing like a nice talk with someone to normalize your brain a little, bring you back to level. Man, also I guess, speaking of, this kind of fits in, but just like the stress of getting lost in the train station and stuff, it's relatively small. But I guess this other example is too. I'm always surprised, like it's sort of hard for me to determine where I'm gonna feel stressed out. It's not especially logical. It's not easy to predict all the time. Because my flight's coming up back to Tokyo, and as I chronicled in my episode Coming to Fukuoka, I got a discount flight on Peach Airlines, and basically, functionally, you cannot have baggage. Your bag needs to be under 7 kilograms, which my clothes alone are 7 kilograms. If I put a computer in after that, it's over 7. But I came up with this wacky plan to fill my pockets with everything else that I owned because I have all these layers. Oh yeah, me and Tom commiserated about that too. He's like, oh, it's so hot. Like, what am I wearing all these layers for? And I was like, yeah, you telling me. Look what I got wrapped around my fucking waist here. A hoodie and a coat. What am I doing? But he said he also heard it was unusually warm this year. This podcast will come out in 2024, so I'm speaking of the winter of 2023. None of this information is useful anymore, weather-wise. This is not at all a guide to what it's actually like in December in Fukuoka, but this year of 2023, it's fucking insane. It's summertime in the wintertime. It's fucking nuts. But anyway, I managed to get away with this stupid plan on the one route, but it was awkward at best. Because I managed to fill all my pockets with all my earthly possessions, and it worked. But then I had to go through a security check, so I had to take all the stuff out of my pockets and put it back in my fucking bag, and it was like, I can't believe I got away with that nonsense. So it's like, on the way back, I'm just going to pay the $25 to check a bag. But I was putting off doing it, and I just can't put it off anymore because I'm leaving in a couple days. I was putting off doing it because I knew it was going to be a real to-do. I've got 2 bank cards as a backup. In case something happens to my one bank account, I have another one. So the backup account I'd never use. I haven't used it at all while I've been here. It's just the backup. But it's the one that has my name on the card because I don't have a proper credit card. It's just like a Visa debit, It's like a debit card from a Canadian bank. But you can use it as a Visa online. It has my name on it, where my other account doesn't have my name on the card. And I guess there's a lot of fraud that goes on. I don't know specifically how it works. But if people steal credit cards, apparently one of the things they do is they buy flights. In Asia, this happens a lot. In the Middle East, apparently. And then I guess they sell those flights then, is how they launder things through. So a lot of these airlines require that you show the card that you bought the flight with, and it needs to have your name on the card. So I have to use this one card because my other bank card doesn't have a name on it for whatever reason. And I guess because of these fraud shenanigans, that's probably also why it didn't go through. When I tried to book this Peach flight back in September, it didn't work. And I had to call the bank and sit on hold and tell them about this thing. And they can say, oh yeah, I see this in the records, there it is. And then they say, okay, do it again within the next X number of minutes and it'll go through. And it's like, oh, thank you so much for letting me use my card. And I guess I shouldn't be complaining. I mean, I guess it's good, this fraud prevention. If someone did steal my card, I guess I would be glad that this didn't work. But in the moment, it feels very annoying. And I just knew it was going to be extra annoying this time because it's like, all I got to do is add on $25 to this fucking thing. But I bet it's not going to work, and it didn't work. Then I'm like, well, let me try the other card because this is just an add-on. It probably doesn't matter which card I use, but it didn't work either. And the reason I was putting this all off is because I knew this is what was going to happen, and I knew I'd have to call my home bank, but I don't have a phone or a phone number. And it's like not a big deal. It's not a big thing. But it's surprising how subtle of a problem can really lead to anxiety. Because it's like, I'll just put it off. And then as I realized that I can't put it off anymore, I guess that's the point of anxiety, right? Sometimes it's there for a reason. Presumably back in the past, one's anxieties were probably quite directly related to dangerous situations. It probably worked a lot better when life was less abstract. But nowadays, you get anxious about stuff that doesn't necessarily make any sense to get anxious about. But, luckily, I think as a society, we've gotten a lot better at understanding this and acknowledging this reality in each other. But it's just weird. It really is weird to just be like, I don't know why this is stressing me out so bad, but I can't help that it is. It just is. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to figure this out. Because I presumed what I would have to do. I've barely ever used Skype in my life, but I was like, I know with Skype you can make phone calls. You just got to buy some Skype bucks, buy some Skype credits. None of this is a big deal. So what? Buy some Skype credits, call the bank. It's like whatever. But it's just enough of a unpleasant situation that I don't want to go through. That it's just so much easier to put it off, but then putting it off just makes you feel anxious and bad because you got to do this. So anyway, what I found out, which again, information that is literally decades out of date, probably every person on the earth who's ever used Skype knows this, But just as a test, I went and dug up the bank phone number and like, let me just try this. Let me see how to actually make a call in Skype, because I didn't even know how to do that. I've only ever used Skype like when other people are doing podcasts that I'm the guest on. Sometimes they want to record through Skype, so I've been the guy who just answers a Skype call, and that's it. But then it's a 1-800 number to call the bank in Canada, so it was just a free call through Skype. And it's like, oh, like I'm all worked up about this thing that was not hard to do, was not a big deal, and wasn't even complicated or confusing. I knew what was going to happen. I knew how it was all going to go. But I just felt so bad about it. I hear someone coming up behind me. I'm going to wait and let them pass. And then I'll get back to yelling into the woods about nothing. It's actually quite a number of people up here today. That's the third, I guess technically the fourth Japanese person I saw, because one of them was a couple. And Tom on top of that, because it's a Sunday, and again, yeah, this weather is fucking insane. And I did meet people up here once in a while in 2019, here and there. But on this trip, not a soul until today, when there's a bunch of people. But again, it is the platonic ideal of a perfect day. God's template for perfect weather is fucking today. Shit is nuts. Apparently it's supposed to rain the day I get into Tokyo. I hope not. Raining on a travel day, and then it's supposed to get sunny the very next day. So hopefully that's incorrect, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, like realizing that I can just make the call for free. It's like, oh, that's nice. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but I just didn't know why. I mean, I didn't know anything about Skype. I don't know. So that took care of some of the anxiety, but there was still some remaining anxiety, a remaining 20% anxiety level of like, but I still got to call the bank and go through all the fucking stuff and wait on hold forever and talk to a person. Blah. But it's like, just do it. You know, the longer you wait, the worse it is. It's not quite the same thing, but back in school with speeches and stuff, I mean, I hated speeches, but I'm good at speeches. It's one of those things, I'm very good at public speaking, but of course I don't like it. But I used to volunteer to go first. And people thought it was like, oh, look at this fucking suck up. Wants to go first. And I mean, it did help in that regard. The teacher does look fondly upon the person who volunteers to go first. Especially if then they fucking give a banger speech. But I did it because it's just sitting there waiting. The anxiety of waiting to be called up to give a speech is fucking awful. It is not a benefit to put off doing the thing, you know, it's way worse. So it's just like, fuck it, I will just volunteer, please. So this isn't necessarily the same thing, but it's like, okay, I guess I don't have to do this today, I could do it tomorrow. And it's like, no, just fucking do it. It's one reason why I was up till like 1:30 in the morning yesterday. I'm just like, just call. It's the middle of the night here, but it's perfect timing back there. Just goddamn do it, get this done. Call the bank, do the thing. And yeah, I wish I could explain why it made me so anxious, but I just don't know. And it'd be similar this morning if you could have jumped in my brain while I was wandering around Tenjin Station. And the 7th fucking arrow still is not necessarily leading me fucking anywhere. You'd be like, this doesn't make sense that you're having this much of a bad time with this. Just relax, dude. But I cannot choose what makes me lose my shit and what does not, unfortunately. Can just try to learn to work through it and try to learn how to wrangle my own dumb brain. Though along those lines, also, the fear of heights thing, that only developed when I was a teenager, a late teenager. When I was younger, I loved climbing trees, and me and my brother would literally tie ropes to trees and rappel down like cliff sides. It was fucking crazy. And then I remember I was on a roller coaster when I was 17. It was the thing, we went to Disney when I was in 2nd grade. And then we went back when I was 17 because my mom was like, hey, it's our last chance to go as a family to go do this stuff before you kids move out. Little did she know I wouldn't move out till I was like 23 or something. 22? Probably 23. But yeah, I remember I was on a roller coaster at like Universal Studios, and that's when I first realized, like, I did not enjoy that. That was not fun. In fact, I hated that, and that was scary, and I'm never gonna do that again. And I don't know that I ever went on another roller coaster again. There's this fucking roller coaster, it used to be there anyway, in 2008, in Coney Island in New York, that's wooden. It's famous for being one of the last remaining wooden fucking clackety-clack-clack roller coasters. And I went there with the girl I was dating and her friends, and they all went on and I did not. And her friend was trying to shame me into it, like, oh, you just want to hold our purses? And I was just like, yes, I do. Yes, I do, ma'am. Give me all your purses. I'll stand right here and hold all of them. I'm not getting on that fucking thing. I hate it. That's when I realized I had a fear of heights, and that has not abated. But man, that's something I was thinking about with this room I'm in now. It's on the 4th floor. That would be more than enough to freak me out if it was a drop from the balcony straight down. I would hate that. But man, this technically the view sucked. I mean, it's nothing compared to the view I had out here, where I could just see this beautiful mountain outside of my balcony. This place I'm at now, my only view is other buildings. I can't see shit. But it's like the best Assassin's Creed parkour shit in the world, because the balcony, the floor beneath me, juts out considerably from mine. I could really easily, say there was a fire or something, very easily get down to that floor. But say my building is fucked, I just need to get off this building. There's a rooftop across from me, and not a big jump, I could easily make it, that is just like, not a very steep angle with like windows. It's kind of Western looking, kind of a European design. So I could hop over to that, and then from there, that rooftop is really close to the balconies of the other building that's like to the left. I could easily hop between 3 different buildings from there. It's fucking awesome. It gives me no fear of heights whatsoever because I could just get out of there, no problem. Possibility of plummeting to the ground, virtually 0. I don't know how that would even happen. It's very cool, but right. How many different random topics can I spiral off onto? I don't know. Man, though, I do feel so much better. Cheers to you, Tom from Germany. I'm gonna give you the credit for getting my brain on straight. I feel so much better now than I did earlier. Who knows, maybe traveling all by yourself and talking to no one, maybe it does slowly have an effect of making you go crazy. I don't know. Well, that's pretty delightful. I went up to the greatest view of all time, the one above the Aburiyama Katai observation deck. It's a little further than I thought it was. I guess it's just like when you tell yourself something is far away, and then even if it's a long walk, you're like, that actually wasn't that bad. But if you tell yourself something's close, like in my mind, I'm like, this is like just a little further. How cool that you're at the main observation deck, but you go just a little bit higher up and you get this super incredible view. But it's not that close. It is still a little mini hike. It's not far, but it's not exactly next door. So I was a little surprised. I'm like, geez, this is a little further than I thought. But still no biggie. And then I just set up shop there on the bench. Just laid down all my stuff, pulled out my phone. This is where, I have a podcast about writing, but I knew I was a slow writer, but I never knew how slow I was. But I've learned through cruel experience that I started writing a novel before COVID, and then even now that COVID's passing, mostly past, that novel is not fucking done. And this is part of it, is I was like, yeah, I'll sit here in this beautiful spot and I'll do some writing. But I gotta kind of ease into it. So I just started reading manga instead. And I usually just read a little bit from here, a little bit from there. But I've been talking about Initial D so much on this trip because whenever I'm on the mountain roads, it's like, it's just like Initial D. Which is weird because, Initial D is about driving in the mountains. But when you read the manga, it's still panels. Nothing's moving. So the view of them racing down the mountains is remarkably similar to what it looks like to walk down these roads at a snail's pace. But I mean, I started reading Initial D in the early 2000s and I never got all the way. And then I started reading it again several years ago. But I mean, I'm on volume 32. I don't even know how far it goes. It's just insane numbers. I don't think, near the end. I've been reading it for a long time because I just read little bits and pieces. So today I was like, yeah, man, fuck it. I'm going to read like a whole volume, which did not even, a whole collection, all of volume 32. Basically the race finished, but not quite, you know. They want to leave you on a cliffhanger, so you got to come back next volume to be sure who won that race. They really take their time. But I just sat there and read a shit ton of Initial D. One lady did come by who was hiking. Again, I love when older people are hiking. It makes me proud of them, because that is what I wish to do when I'm older. To stay fit and fiddle-like. All right, I'm at this crossroads. I'm just like, could I translate any of these signs? That would be nice, just to be sure. But anyway, I'm quite sure I gotta go to the left now. Because yeah, I'm gonna try to head down to the Aburiyama Cannon Temple. And now the goal is, the counterintuitive goal of trying to go down slowly enough to not mess up my knee. This is so weird to me that, like, yeah, I hiked all the way up here and my knee feels fucking fine. It's the going down, where you just clomp, clomp, clomp. You go a little too fast, you put a little too much weight on your joints. Going down is harder than going up. Fucking weird. Especially with all this hiking, as my cardio gets better and better. It's like weird feeling. It's like a little superpower of like, geez, I can just go up and up and up and up. And it's not a significant problem. But I'm not getting any better at going down. Down's a whole different discipline. Anyway, yeah, I just hung out there and read comics. I did a little bit of writing, but not really. But it's kind of fun to sit at that bench and then just kind of drift off because your mind is in a comic book or in writing or whatever. Just enough to sort of forget where you are. And then you look up and you're like, whoa, oh yeah, look at that. That's the most insane view of all time. It's just right there. Like, fuck yeah. All right. Good fucking shit, dude. I could go up there every goddamn day. But yeah, like I was saying, it's a little busier up here than usual because of the weekend and the insanely good weather. So finally another dude showed up who was not passing through like the old lady. He was stopping and taking a picture, gathering a view, going to a different view. He was kind of moving toward the really steep path down to the access road, which if he had started to go that way, I would have been like, whoa, hey, stop, hold on. Let me pull up my Google Translate because it's worth it to tell you that don't bother, don't go that way. That's not a good way to go. But he didn't. He was just hanging around. And it's a little past 4 o'clock now. It's going to be pitch black. It's going to be quite dark in an hour and pitch black in 90 minutes. So it's a good time to start heading down the mountain. This is not the worst path in the world, but I wouldn't want to do it by flashlight. So yeah, I figured since that guy, I'd been up there long enough. I'd been hanging out there for like a fucking hour. So I was thinking it was a good time to hand it over to him. His time to be alone up on the mountain. So I'm making my way down. I was considering going over to the main observation deck to get some hot dogs from the hot dog guy. That would be all right. But I think I'm going to take this route because it spits me out further east. And yeah, I just had such a bad morning on the train. It's just like, ugh. It felt so good to finally get on the proper train out to Umebayashi, and there weren't that many people on it to begin with, instead of just packed in like the other trains were, and then just less and less and less as I go. By the time I got to Umebayashi station, me and one other guy got off because it's just like Nowheresville, and it just felt so much better. It's like, oh, that's what I like. That's the feeling I want, just to be nowhere on the outskirts. So even though my Airbnb now, it's further east than the old one, but the old one, it was a doable walk from here. So I was like, how much further even is it? And it's like 12 kilometers from here, pretty much just straight east. It's not at all hard to get to. And you know, what's 12 kilometers among friends? Fuck it. If I can walk 12K and not have to get back on the train, especially because I'd be hitting the train at rush hour around 5. It's like, yeah, fuck all that. Fuck it. 12K is not that bad. I'm just going to walk back. Oh, speaking of the temple, I hear a gong. But yeah, I definitely prefer being on the outskirts a bit. I mean, I've learned here in Japan, it's very much worth it to be near a train if you can, that's for sure. But yeah, being in the center, I got to assume it's probably more expensive as well. And it's not for me. No, thank you. The benefits of being on the edges are just huge. I mean, you still get all the stores and the convenience stores and the restaurants, and there's always just the stuff around. I'm not really sure what's in the middle that you're missing out on. It's maybe a little harder to find like a game center or something maybe, but even those are around. And then maybe in Tokyo it's not quite as good because some of the outskirts are a bit on the dry side, a little bit just a bunch of houses. You really got to go far to get to like way out west before it gets mountainous. But here in Fukuoka, it's like incredibly better to be near the edges because then you're right by all these cool mountains and different parks and hiking and all kinds of cool stuff. I love it, but I don't know how much this can really apply to other places. It's hard to say. The mountainous terrain of Japan certainly makes things a little different. It really ups the value of being on the fringe. Because I was thinking of like New York. In New York, I lived in Flushing just because somebody set me up with an apartment. And it was a really nice apartment, and it was a very good deal for the New York area. But it was like at the top of the Flushing Meadows Park. So like you had to take the 7 train all the way to the end and then walk an hour or take a bus. You know, it's certainly not convenient. But I didn't really want to be in Manhattan. I mean, I guess I've never lived in Manhattan, so it's hard to say, but I mean, New York is wicked expensive, like absolutely crazy expensive. Who knows? I mean, maybe that feeling of just walking out of your house and just being in Manhattan, maybe that is worth it. Maybe that is good. I don't know. Because as much as I generally like the outskirts, I'm a little neutral on Flushing, Queens. It's so far away that it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was just sort of whatever, just a place, just a neighborhood. I guess like a happy middle. I guess that's why like Astoria, Queens is so popular and so famous. And I did stay there for a summer where it's a little bit away from the bustle of Manhattan, but it still feels kind of exciting. There's still stuff going on there, and it's very easy to get into Manhattan, whereas for me it was a bit of a ride. I don't know, but I mean, it's all just, I guess it just comes down to if you live near nature or not. Because I guess I'd say the same thing about Toronto. There's a limited value to being on the outskirts of Toronto because it's just boring. Maybe there it is better to be in the middle. Whereas Vancouver, it's great to be on the outside because you're closer to all the nature stuff. So yeah, maybe it's not a center versus outskirts debate at all. It's just if there's nature around, try to be near it. And if you can live cheaper and be nearer the nature and away from crowds, I mean, it's just win-win-win. But I guess if you're in a big city situation where the outskirts haven't got much going on, maybe it is better to be in the middle. I don't know. Maybe it's just better not to be there at all. Oh, I just felt it. It is the hardest thing in the world when you're going downhill to go slow. It is so hard. It's very easy to pace yourself on the way up, because you'll get out of breath. You'll get blown up, as they say in pro wrestling. Going down, man. When it's a nice, easy path down with all these steps built in, it's so easy to go too fast, and I just felt a little tweak in my knee. What could I do, though? How can I force myself to be mindful, to go slow? I don't know. I'm just not good at that. It's hard. It's so hard to do. Yeah, because I think even my bad shoulder seems to be hurting less. Pretty much everything is doing better because of all this exercise I've been doing. Except my knee. My knee's not worse, but it's not better. It's exactly the same as it has always been. It's the first thing to go. It's so strange, and I don't understand why it is that one spot. Whew, doggy, this is nice. Yeah, I'm glad I came here one more time. I wasn't sure if I was gonna. Because the other view, the one behind the Dazaifu government office remains, I mean, to be honest, that view might be better than this one. It's kind of more epic. You can really see a lot. And it's closer to my Airbnb. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Maybe that'll be my final hurrah for this trip to Fukuoka. But yeah, I guess it's a good thing that I convinced myself, this will be so easy. I can just take this train, go do just one little transfer and then head out. Like, it'll be so easy. It's a good thing I didn't realize that it was going to be a huge pain in the ass to do all the transfers and to figure out what the fuck was going on. But it was worth it. But I still long for the days of that Airbnb that's right by Umebayashi Station. God damn, that place was so good. If I ever somehow become an unexpected mega millionaire, I'm gonna try to buy that house, buy that whole building. That'd be fucking sweet. What a dumb idle dream. That's not ever gonna happen. Even if I did become a mega billionaire. I'm not gonna buy some random house in Japan. Doesn't even make sense. Instead, I'll get a helicopter that circles constantly in the sky, and I'll sleep there, and I can have it set me down wherever I want. That's an even worse plan. A loud-ass helicopter going all the time? That'd be fucking horrible. Anyway, I don't think podcasting is helping me be mindful of my speed. It's probably taking my mind away from said activities, so I turn this thing off. And yeah, then I'm just going to walk back to the Airbnb, so I feel like that's probably it for today. But what a nice little fare thee well to Mount Aburayama. Goddamn delightful. I love this place. So thank you for listening. Thank you to Tom from Germany, which, full disclosure, I'm not completely sure he said Tom. You know, it's always a little weird when you don't totally hear what someone said. It definitely started with T. But I mean, it was just a formality anyway. We literally introduced ourselves to each other like as we were parting, you know, where he was going back down the mountain, I was going back up. So it's like, cool. Hey, I'm Keith, by the way. He's possibly Tom from Germany. Right on. Nice to meet you. Now, fare thee well. So there would be literally no point in like, sorry, what was that name? Let me just make sure I absolutely got your name. It does not matter. He'll always be Tom from Germany in my fucking memory. Maybe I'll meet him on a hiking trail in North Japan sometime at a weird vending machine in the middle of nowhere where you pay on the honor system. You never know. It's a small world. A kid who walked by me just said, hello. It's like, you read me right, kid. That's what you need to talk to me. You gotta go for English. So I'm just at the bottom of the hill now, getting back into civilization, getting near traffic actually, so I'll wrap this up quick. But I just thought I'd pull out the recorder one last time because it's like a little before 5:30. The sun's almost all the way down. Just charted my course, which is pretty easy. Got to take a turn up here and then I can basically just head straight on till morning and it'll take me back to my Airbnb. But I think this ties into what I was saying earlier about my free-floating anxieties about weird stuff. You know, like it is so weird to lay it out and just like, I'm stressed that I gotta sign up for baggage at the airport and it's not gonna work, so I gotta figure out Skype and I gotta call the bank and then I gotta do it again. Like, it's just really not a big deal, but I don't know, I can't really overstate how heart-thumpingly awful it felt yesterday. It's like, fuck, I just don't want to do this. But none of it's a big deal, it's just, but it's so hard to dissect your own brain. And at some point, it's just not even worth trying. It's like, just deal with how it is. Because, you're old enough now, things ain't going to change. You might get a little better at this, but how you are is how you are. And I don't know. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention, because I was just feeling the opposite of that. Just walking down this nice, quiet street. Sun's going down, wandering down into Fukuoka. Just going to take a nice stroll on the way home. And I was feeling the opposite. I was just feeling really good. just so comfortable and confident and just like, yeah, just walking through Japan. I like it so much. And I guess inadvertently, maybe I've been trying to put my finger on it a bit with this podcast, but it's like, again, there's sort of no point in really trying to nail it down. It's just too many things. It's too much, it's intangible, but it's undeniable, And it's not like I feel like this all the time here. But I don't feel it in North America. In North America, I still walk around all the time, but it's just like, whatever. I don't feel any particular kind of way about it at all. It's just bland as shit, It's just something I'm tired of. And here it's just like, yeah, this feels good. It just feels so cool. So yeah, perhaps neither side of that is too surprising. Oh, you don't like dealing with banking bureaucracy and with calling a call center, eh? Oh, so you're the one who hates doing that. Oh, but you do like walking through a beautiful, picturesque city as dusk is falling. Huh. Now that I'm saying it out loud, both these things make a lot of sense. But yeah, I was also thinking about, because again, I'm just not going through any of the motions that would be required to live somewhere besides North America permanently, it's like I just got to be a visitor guy. But again, whatever, I got the circumstances in life, I can do that. It'll keep me moving. It's fine. But I am thinking about YouTubers and stuff I've watched for the last 10 years that have just lived in Japan. And once in a while it'll come up. They're like, yeah, I haven't been back home to visit for a long time. And when the idea comes up of like, yeah, what would I want to go back for? Why would I want to move back to North America? And it's hard for them to conjure up reasons. And then in extreme cases, there's the occasional, like, I want to die in Japan. I just want to stay here. But I was just kind of thinking that as I walked down the hill, and it's like, yeah, like, if North America had to pitch me, like, what have you got? What do you got for me to make me want to go back? And I guess the major difference is, with Canada, the money is not so amazing. And with America, the healthcare is fright, There are differences, but I feel like you can basically lump those two together. It's like, whatever, either or. I know Mexico is technically North America, but I don't know shit about Mexico. But yeah, say North America as an entity was like trying to pitch, hey, you should come back here. What could they possibly offer? Like, what could they possibly have that's worth going back for? It's all just the most shallow stuff. Like, I don't know, we got stores, we got restaurants, we got movies, we got internet, we got video games. It's like everyone has those. Everyone has all that stuff. Maybe back in the day, if it was fucking 1910 and Manifest Destiny and I'm gonna go fucking carve my fucking way in the world, like I want to have an office at the top of a skyscraper in New York City. Like, all right, then maybe. But in today's day and age, I guess I'm cheating a bit because, yeah, I don't want to jump through the hoops and do the bureaucracy and all the stuff it would require to actually live somewhere else. As a citizen, it's fine. I'll just stick with Canada. It's fine. But, why would I, though, want to go back? Like, what the hell is there that I would want to go back for? I would feel guilty if I didn't go back just to see my family. So family and friends, that's an okay reason. But again, that's purely just because that's where I'm from. That's just happenstance. That's not fundamental to the place. But yeah, if North America had to sell me, if it had to pitch me on itself, like, hey, what if I want to enjoy my life? What if I want to feel good about my day? What if I want to enjoy being where I am? What have you got for me then? What have you got to offer me then? keeping in mind that malls and restaurants and internet and video games are everywhere. Everyone has those. I don't know, as a thought experiment, it's very, very hard to come up with a single thing. I like snow. Other places have snow as well. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of when the guy from the Buddhist sect was trying to sell me a little bit on his the real Buddha. Hey, this guy's the real Buddha. You fucking follow this guy, you say the magic words, you focus on the magic parchment, you can have anything you want. Where I was thinking, like, you don't have anything I want, magic Buddha. You got nothing for me. That's how I feel about North America. Like, you don't have anything I want. You don't have anything I want. So anyway, on that note, I think we can call that a day. I got a nice little stroll ahead of me, which once I put in my headphones, this traffic will seem less evident and it will be very nice. Sun's down now. Now it's just the lights of the nighttime. All right, thank you for listening. I'll see you next episode, should you be in the market for more of these travel ramblings. And if so, I hope to see you then. Adios.